Hello and welcome to another installment of CinemaDemocratica.com's video movie review segment. I'm the Key Grip, and today we're looking at George Clooney's 2002 directorial debut, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, starring Sam Rockwell, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Rutger Hauer, and Drew Barrymore. Not long ago, I asked a friend of mine to pore over a printout of my entire movie collection in search of omissions that risked leaving the collection incomplete. And you know, I could have said that the very definition of a friend is someone who would agree to do such a thing, but really the very definition of a friend is someone who would even pretend to agree to do such a thing. This friend returned to me in less than 2 weeks with a list of perhaps 100 missing titles, the top left corner of which was reserved for this one. It's the only film I've ever watched, he explained, that the moment it was finished I pressed play and watched it all over again without a break. And now so it is for me too. Sam Rockwell is Chuck Barris, yes, that Chuck Barris, the 60s-era game show producer and eventual host who claims with evident sincerity in his unauthorized autobiography that he was also a contract killer for the CIA. His early TV-producing aspirations unfulfilled, Barris is approached by the dark and mysterious Jim Bird, played by Clooney, who persuades him that the very implausibility of a game show host doing CIA wet work is what makes Barris so perfect, the quintessential guy we'd least suspect. Chuck reluctantly agrees, ultimately teaming up with equally eccentric colleagues Patricia, played by Julia Roberts, and Keeler, played by Rutger Hauer, the former of whom quotes Chaucer as foreplay and only beds her colleagues if they've first hidden the microfilm in the, appropriate recess, and the latter of whom solicits his fellow assassins to photograph him at the moment of dispatch, and whose default dinner order is a green salad with no dressing. Rockwell plays the supposedly gun-toting game show host at his word, artfully gracing his fatalistic acceptance with a semi-permanently affixed disbelief that makes the entire movie, since only by not quite accepting that this is all happening to him can Barris sell us that perhaps it really is. Meanwhile, the life for which he is known is taking off equally unexpectedly, with the dating game and other voyeuristic schmaltz vehicles proving smash TV hits. Everything in Chuck's young-to-middle life seems to be clicking, save for his ostensibly cavalier but practically troubled relationship with Drew Barrymore's Penny, the unsinkably affectionate hippie chick whose intermittent companionship ties Barris down in the very ways they'd agreed to avoid, not least because of her ignorance of precisely how Chuck is paying the bills. But when a mole inside the Assassin Corps threatens everyone's survival, Barris must shelve his multi-layered emotional conflicts, along with his life-taught instinct to selfishness, just to have the fighting chance that everyone is counting on for him to save the day. Of all the astonishing aspects of this film, and there are far too many to chronicle here, perhaps the most arresting is the fact that each of the movie's complex scene segues is accomplished entirely in camera, with no CG, blue screening, or other form of visual effect. Barris abandons his spot at the back of an NBC tour and shows up from the opposite wing dressed as a page and giving a tour of his own, and the whole thing is nothing more than a manic quick change and a race behind the set. Barris draws from Penny's banal kitchen chatter his inspiration to pitch the dating game, and the blink of an eye scene switch is handled by placing Rockwell on a turntable. Of course, gee-whiz camera trickery is no substitute for a compelling overall narrative, and Clooney's interpretation and Rockwell's performance of Charlie Kaufman's typically elaborate screenplay are both perfectly paced and as consummately professional as any of the grand old hands of filmmaking. And all this from an actor playing his first ever lead and a director making his first film. The bastards. The Key Grip gives Confessions of a Dangerous Mind 5 bald heads, his highest rating, and places it at position number 10 on the list of his 100 favorite movies of all time. For CinemaDemocratica.com, I'm Dave O'Gorman. Thanks for watching.